my channel. I know it's been a while since I did a video, but I'm trying to get back into it. A lot of stuff has happened in my life, but again, you guys don't care. You guys came here for this banging content. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna go ahead and go over 2 videos today, and then we're gonna see I declined a millionaire for a credit card. So let's find out and see why I declined them. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. We're gonna go ahead and start with the video here first. Okay, this one. All right, let's see here.
90% of
Nope, ain't nobody got time for that. Let's let him play. Let's let him play. But anyway, yes. So in this video, they're gonna go ahead and go over Vantage Score and why it's better. Well, listen to it and see, and I'll tell you some feedback what we can take away from this. All right, here we go.
score is Vantage Score 3.
All
Silvio,
right.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The health
Thank
of the
you.
consumer is such a concern. Everyone is facing inflation, rising interest rates. The impact of that on their wallet seems to be pretty severe, but we're still spending. The American consumer seems to still be spending.
Very much so. That's counterintuitive because if you look at the overall economy, people are concerned, but the reality is the consumer is actually quite healthy. We measure consumer health by the average Vantage score, and through the end of September, the average Vantage score was 701. So low score is Vantage score 350. The perfect score is Vantage score 850. So at 701, the average consumer is actually quite healthy. The other piece of good news is if you look at the consumer's overall credit utilization, so the percentage that a consumer typically uses of their credit, so 50% credit utilization would be a consumer using about half of their available credit. 100%, you're maxed out. Well, the average consumer at the end of September was at 52.3% utilization.
Well, let's give it up to you guys, the ones that helped us to get to 701 credit score through Vantage Score. Again, this one isn't really important too much with the Vantage Score. It is good, but when it comes to getting approved for a loan, you have to understand this type of credit score is not valid. There's no lenders, and you'll see it today. I'll point it out in the video along where there's no TransUnion that gets pulled as a credit. But let's go ahead and hop into it. Let's listen to this hot garbage, I guess.
And if you look at that number a year ago, it was 52.7%. So the consumer is not maxed out. They're actually reducing their overall credit and managing credit pretty well. So that's the good news here. The consumer is healthy.
When we're looking at the delinquency rate for the average American, where are we seeing the most of the problems?
Well, so the bad news is that it's actually across all credit products, auto loans, personal loans, mortgages, credit cards. Across all of those credit products, we are seeing a slight uptick in delinquencies, and that's been the case since May. Now, there are some that are worse than others, and I would point out auto loans have been much more challenging than the other categories.
What are the key things that are going into this score that people should know?
Well, the reason why the auto loans are actually on the rise is because of bad underwriting. So essentially, this rises from the economy, been failing. It's been failing for months, and when you essentially don't mitigate risk when you're approving somebody for such like an auto loan of what he's talking about, this is what you get. At the same time, I can't even blame the employee because the employees are just pretty much told. Remember when everyone was buying houses, buying cars during the pandemic, they lightened up on credit, on people getting approved. I think it's more because it's like if this credit union or bank or financial institution didn't do it, they had their competition that was going to go ahead and approve it. But the bad thing that happens when you do something like that is that then it's like you're then approving low quality type of loans, and you run into this situation where there's a lot of borrowers going delinquent, and in this they just got too loose. And with me, I would have stood firm, or at least have a better balance, because you know this is really bad. This affects them. It can affect their job because if there are too many delinquencies, banks and credit unions can go under, as you saw a couple of banks last year that went under. So this is definitely due to just the underwriting guidelines and allowing people to borrow more than what they can, or maybe giving people chances, which again, I don't think it's bad giving anybody chance to to get a loan, but at the same time, underwriters, you have to mitigate the risk. So it's like, okay, they don't have the strongest credit score. Do they have a low debt to income? Are they putting a really big down payment to mitigate the risk and bring that loan to value down? Because a lot of the cars were being passed, they were financing more than what it was worth. So if you have a car that's 20,000, you're giving 30,000. Well, it's only worth 20. Why would you want to give $10,000 over? I would have made the borrower go ahead and come in and bring it at least more down. But again, like I said, they were probably dealing with, if this bank didn't approve it, their competitor was going to approve it, and that's part of the whole thing that just happened from here. But enough of that small rant. Let's get back into this.
No, that can improve their score. We know you need to pay your bills on time, of course, but there are other parts of the score that people may not realize.
Well, absolutely. And this is one of the areas that's really exciting because it's changing and innovating. But most of the data that is used for your credit score is data pulled from your credit report. Vantage Score is one of the two national credit scoring companies, but we're actually an independently managed companies, but our owners are the three credit bureaus, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. And so we have unprecedented access to those credit reports, and we use them in innovative ways to really predict who's going to pay and who's not. We've been an innovator in that regard. One of the areas which has been very important to include is rental data. If you ask the average American, if I pay my rent on time for 10, 20 years, is that going to boost my credit score? Most consumers would say yes. But it wasn't until Vantage Score innovated in that area. We were the very first credit score to include rental data. So it's an exciting time, and we're developing new technology to enable everyone who's truly creditworthy to have access to a great credit score.
That's great.
Here we go with the bullshit.
Bullshit?
But that's ridiculous. So she asked them, what are the other ways that you can help boost your credit score? This guy didn't even go over the credit algorithm that's already out there for you guys. Let me actually go ahead and just pull that up here, because he literally did nothing to go ahead and explain how you can improve your credit. But again, there's no point of focusing on Vantage when banks, credit unions, and other financial institutions like Capital One do not use this to approve you for a loan. So it's like a waste of time. But let me at least give you guys some information so we can be able to. So right here, so payment history for Vantage Credit Score accounts for 40%. So your payment history is a lot stronger than when it is through Experian using FICO. The next one is your credit utilization, which is 20. Your age and type of credit. They went in and combined this and put it together as one, and that counts for 21%. Balances, which I assume this is your credit card balances and maybe also your loan balances in general. So if you have an auto loan, maybe that accounts for it. If you have a personal loan, maybe that accounts for it also. Recent credit, so obviously your credit inquiries that you have applied for, and then 3% is for available credit. So this tells me available credit. I'm wondering if that's more within your credit cards and home equity lines of credit and personal lines of credit. How much do you have available? Counts for 3% of your credit score. But I'm going to make another video going into this a little bit more detailed. But I just wanted you to at least know where the credit score algorithm. He didn't mention anything of this, and I'm just like, bro, this is your job. She asked you a question. How can you improve? And the guy really comes and gives this ridiculous answer, like, oh, rental income. The thing is, with rental income, it's a double-edged sword, is what I like to say. So it's good, but it's nothing tangible. If that solution would be good for someone that's starting with credit, for the first time, but I would never recommend it because then you're just giving more data to these people, which is not what you want. But then what's happening is then the lenders have access to how much rent you're paying, so it doesn't go based off stated on your credit application. Cough, cough, just gave you a tip and a secret right there with that one. But essentially, if you're trying to start credit, just get a secured credit card. Just put like $300 to $500 down, apply for a secured credit card, and start there from building your credit. Like you don't need to put your rent on there to like build credit. You don't even need to do that. If you even need an auto loan and you're in a financial position that you can even afford the payments, you can always go to a dealership. Won't be the best rate, but you can start off by just getting an auto loan through a dealership, and that would be better than reporting your rent to them and them having more of your information. Because what that is, what a what a rent, reporting your rent really does is it's a non-traditional type of loan. So essentially, is non-traditional type of loans can be like your phone bill, internet, utilities, rent. Like that stuff doesn't matter when it comes to your credit score. It's gonna help like a little bit, but it's not gonna make it's like if you put the rent on there, you're gonna get to an 800 credit score. I've never heard anybody say, you know what? I got to an 800 credit score with Vantage score because I reported my rent. Jackasses. Like, and no one's ever said that. It's just so ridiculous that that is what's happening here. But let's go ahead and get back to the video. Let's see what else type of advice this guy will go ahead and give us.
And how important is usage? How important is the utilization ratio you talked about before, which seems to be pretty good right now, showing the health of the consumer. But how can that impact your score?
Well, that's an important question. The reality is if you are maxed out for a lender and for your credit score, that's a bad sign. So you should be using your credit responsibly. Use only the credit that you need and don't use credit excessively. And that's particularly important in a rising interest rate environment where we are now because
That's very hypocrite. How are you going to say use credit responsibly, but then say don't excessively use your credit? That's the most. It sounds like a hypocrite statement because the thing is like, because he's making it sound subjective. So it depends on the person. So let's say if you have a $5,000 line, but you want to use, but you have your certain lifestyle. Let's say if you do max it out, like this is what I get. This guy is a clown. He out here giving advice that is not tangible and specific. Instead of saying, well, use only what you need, but don't be excessive. That's very vague. Like I hate when with corporates like them, they have the secret sauce. Everyone knows it, and he's out here giving a BS response. We know when it comes to your credit or credit utilization, you do not want to use more than 30%, 10% for it to be very efficient, but you don't want to cross 30% of all your credit limits. So that means is so if you have three credit cards and they all have $3,000 on them, that's $9,000. That's a and you only use and you max out one, that means that you're at 30% because 30% of 9,000 is 3,000. So it's like uh, he could have said that, but instead he's giving this dumbass answer that gets people nowhere, and people tune into this because again they think that corporate's really gonna give their secrets. This I'm not gonna give him credit. F that. Let's get back to this.
that monthly payment for variable rate debt is going to be increasing even if you keep the total amount the same. And so credit utilization does have a significant impact.
So if you're trying to know your score, you also want to know what's the best number to get. So what is the best number? What score should you be trying to get?
Well, the perfect score is a Vantage score 850. You can't get better than that. But typically banks don't need a perfect score to lend to you. If you look at Vantage score 660, that's considered the prime cutoff. Typically consumers that have a Vantage score 660 or above are eligible for the best rates.
Pardon me?
Are you dumb?
I think she's
I
dumb.
think she's dumb.
I think she's dumb.
I think
Are
you're
you?
So that's really the sweet spot. That's where you want to get to, and that makes you eligible for the best.
This mother. He really said 660 to get the best rates. You a whole damn lie. You lying to these people. Don't listen to that. We know that you don't get the best rate. Have you ever been going through the street and you see like advertisement for a loan from a bank or a credit union that says, oh, like the interest rate is 7.99 or 4.99? Normally the people that fall into those categories are going to be the people that have a credit score above 760, 770. It varies depending on banks and what they considered to be at the top of your credit score. So to fix his dumb ass answer, if you want to get the best rate, I would say shoot for 780. I remember at a bank that I worked with, they actually had it at 780, and you can get the best rate that they offer, pretty much the advertised rate that they advertise to anybody. So don't listen to this clown. Again, this guy's a freaking clown. I cannot believe he went here and said 660. 660 is like the bare minimum. Like you're gonna get like their worst rate. So right now, so let's see if the lowest credit score interest rate is 7%, and then the highest is 18. Being at a 660, you're going to get more closer to 18%, or maybe at 18%, because again, that is the bottom of the barrel. Like you barely pass to get a loan with them, so they're going to give you the highest interest rate. So, man, this is ridiculous. I can't believe this. This is some wild shit. But let's get back into it.
Best interest rates in a rising interest rate environment.
So knowing your score and understanding what goes into it is going to be a very important thing for many people to do going into the end of the year and starting 2024. So thank you very much. Silvio Tavares, the President and CEO of Vantage Score, joining us today.
Yo, I'm tagging him. I'm tagging him on this video. That was some bull. That was some bull. Wow. Jesus. Well, guys, we got to endure it. See that video. Again, the key takeaways of this video segment. Know your Vantage score. You can always Google it, and just find out. If not, I'll put a link in the description down there, so you can at least have access to it. Um, that's the key takeaway. Your credit score, you want to get it to a 780 through Experian, at least, to get the best interest rates. I show you the algorithm so you know. So payment history is always king. So even if you're going through a financial hard time, as long as you make the minimum payment, you are fine. Like, because I know there's people that like to pay down their debt and they're throwing like $500 when the minimum payment is maybe $200. So if you just do the minimum, you're skating by. That's all you need to do until you're in a better position. And yeah, I was like, overall, this was a trash ass advice. Like, are you serious? But that's the world we live in. But let's get into the next video here.
Yeah, how to hide your credit card utilization. I know a lot of you guys have
Mm-hmm.
troubles with getting approved for new credit cards because your utilization is ramped up. Everybody knows when an institution sees that you have high balances on credit cards, they're gonna deny you. It's like the banks compare them to like
Okay, he's starting off strong. I like this. He's starting off good. But I'm watching you, Hood Credit. I'm watching you. I'm always watching.
a real life situation. Like if you owe Johnny 10 stacks and then you try to go to John and ask for 10 stacks, he gonna see that, bro, you still owe Johnny some money. Like, why would I let you borrow 10 stacks? You get what I'm saying? So the first
That's big facts right there. What he's saying is making sense. He cooking right now. He cooking right now.
Yeah, boy.
Right now he got the pot boiling. But let's see if he can add the rest of the ingredients on this.
method on how to hide your credit card utilization. So let's say you have two credit cards, right? You have one credit card that has a 5K limit and you use 3K, right? and now you have another credit card that has a 5K limit and you use zero. So this method won't work if all your cards are maxed out. But let's say you do a balance transfer, okay? But before you do that balance transfer, make sure that you change your credit card due dates on these two cards. So the 5K limit with the 3K balance, let's say you would change that on the 10th of every month, right? And then the 5K limit with a zero balance, change it to the 24th of every month. That credit card that has the balance, the 3K balance on that 5K credit card, you transfer that 3K over to the credit card, the 5K limit that has no balance, okay? And you do that before the 10th, okay? On that first card, you transfer the balance. Now, before the 24th hits on the credit card that had a zero balance but now has a 3K balance, before the 24th hits, you transfer that balance right back over to the first initial card that had the balance, if that makes sense. Hopefully, I'm not confusing y'all because, it's like I'm doing a fucking.
Okay, I get what he's meaning. Okay, so you have the 5K, now you have a 3K balance with the other credit card. Pretty much you're just calling your institution, be like, hey, I need to do a balance transfer to pay this off. Let me keep listening. I was like, I already see some what is it called? I see some bad things with it, but I got a theory, I got a hypothesis. So let me check that out real quick before I say.
Riddle, but like this shit is simple, y'all. You just make sure the due dates are lined up and then transfer the balance before the statement date hits. You get what I'm saying? My fault for saying due date, the statement date. You get what I'm saying? And and yeah, like obviously you're gonna get hit with a 3% fee on these transfer balances, but it's worth it. Okay, once you hide your utilization and it reports a zero on your credit report, you can now get approved for some business credit cards that have 0% interest when you personal guarantee. And then now you just transfer that debt over to the business side. The utilization won't report to your personal credit.
Okay, I got it right now. Okay, so this is where it's flawed. That's what I was trying to say. That's what I was trying to say. This is where this method is flawed. Okay, so you were there. You were just missing some seasoning. So I was like, your cooking didn't come out good. Doesn't matter. Anyway. Alright, so this is where it's flawed. So I see what he's doing of how you're hiding your utilization, but this is what's going to happen. It's going to report it to the credit bureau. Have you ever used your credit card and used more than 30%? When that happens, immediately, I'm kidding you, I've used 30% of my credit limit and I'm telling you, it reports same fucking day. That's where this is flawed because I was like, I get it and it makes sense by doing that, but the problem is that the credit bureaus get alerted at the end of the day because I'm like, okay, well, so it's like, okay, the $5,000, he's already passed 30%, because 50% is 2,500, and you're using 3,000, so you're probably around 55% utilization on one card. That's gonna get reported immediately, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna do a balance transfer to pay that credit card, but it's not gonna reflect immediately. And then your other card, depending on where you have the credit limit with that one, let's just say it's the same thing. Like, you're gonna end up running to the same situation. Now you're gonna have two credit cards reporting 55% utilization, which is gonna tank your score. Oh my god, this is. I had some faith in him. I had some faith in him, and he came up short. He failed me. Oh my god. Because the thing is that he's not explaining also, depending on how many credit cards you use, like if you have only two, like, and they both have $5,000, like you're already using 60% of your credit utilization, which is 6,000. So it's like, how many cards do you need to have? Like, you need to have a lot of credit cards to be with, no, not just a lot of credit cards. You need to have a lot of credit cards that have a high credit limit to be able to offset you using so much. It's either that or your credit line for, let's just say it's two cards. You got to have them like at like $15,000 each, so it won't make that much of a ding on your credit. Man, I was really hoping we were gonna find some winners. Like, don't listen to the advice just for the off the strength of that alone. And again, why would you listen to me? This is why. I am a loan underwriter, so I have approved auto loans, mortgages, home equity, RVs, personal loan, credit cards, lines of credit, jet skis. I have approved and have experience with all these loans within the last 10 years. So that's why you should already listen to me already. And besides that, I have certifications that certify me in these fields on top of that. So I think that's how the kids do it. But anyway, yeah, like this is advice. It was good, but it was flawed. Besides that, I'm sorry, Hood Credit. I'm not trying to offend or anything. I'm just trying to get the make sure that people are aware of the information that's being said, because again, I was like, you have a big platform, so these people will listen to what you say, and just make sure that you're vetting that information. To me, that's the only thing that I see it's going to mess you up, is that when you use more than 30% of your credit utilization, it's going to get reported instantly. So this was but hey, it is what it is when it comes to that. But that's why I'm here. That's why I go ahead and go ahead and you know do these type of reactions, is to better inform the people and the information. Because again, I was like, you can't just be out here just giving just any information. But that's what it is. But let's get here to the reason. I'm trying to do the other one, of why you came to this video. The millionaire that I declined. Let's get into it. Okay, I'm hoping you can see this pretty great, so let's get into it. Alright, so this is the millionaire. This is a credit report that we pull whenever we review an application. So if you ever seen your credit, or if you ever told your lender, like, I have like a 800 credit score and we're not seeing 800, is because it's the credit score model that we're using. It's different. You see FICO score 8, we're using in this case, this one is using FICO score 8, but we're just using a different model. Like for mortgages, they use FICO score 3. So that's the reason why you see those different type of credit scores. So I'm gonna go over a lot of things on this, or point out a lot of things, but I will make them clear as I point out. So let's get into this. All right. So okay. So this person, pretty much, if you look on here, his credit utilization. That's what revolved utilization stands for. It's just his utilization. So out of all the credit cards he has, which is these two, he's at 66%. So essentially, this guy has a total of, what is this, 16,500. It's pretty nice. I have like a combined of 20 with mine, 20K, and revolving. And essentially, he's used a little bit over 8,000, so that's why he's at the 66%. But the reason what makes this guy a um, a millionaire is right here. Mortgage, $2.2 million. Did you hear that? 2.2 million. Hala hala hala, he got that dinero. So yeah, so that's what makes him a millionaire on paper. Don't know if by net, if he is still a millionaire, most likely. But let's take a look at the credit report. So right here, um, these are the names of the credit bureau. So or in tons, whatever that says, loan care, PinMac. These are the name of the businesses, abbreviated. So the only one that you can probably Google out there is loan care and know what that is. Or maybe if you just Google these, you'll also find it. So to your left is the name of the lender, and right here you can see what kind of loan it is, a mortgage company, and right here you can also see mortgage trades. So this is just going to show all his mortgages he has. In the section on the top date on all of them is when it first opened, and then right here is the original amount. So this is how much they took the loan out for, and this is where their balance. So let's just and this is what their monthly payment is, and this is how many days they've ever been late. It's blank, so we know he's never missed a payment. But let's at least we're gonna focus on these three sections. So when it opened, the balance, and how much. All right, so this guy, okay, right now 130 bow wow. Right now he's at $1,600 a month, and you get it by looking at this. He's a $2.2 million. Okay, something that I will tell you, what happened was that this guy he was making, I think it was $250,000, and he had all these properties. So just to let you know, by with the income, he's at $250,000 um, per month. We're gonna hope. We're gonna do the math, but okay. So looking at this, okay, let's go ahead and mortgages. So right now he's been paying them fine. He's opened them within the last couple of years, so he doesn't have a lot of years, but he's been managing them fine, which is what I liked, because a person to have, what is this, three, four, five, six mortgages, and they don't, well, I guess he did have previous mortgage history before, but to have this many loans within this, he definitely took advantage of the pandemic when the interest rates were low. But yeah, so overall, no concerns with the mortgage, doing good, revolving. These are the open line of credit of lines of credit. So either a personal line of credit, a home equity, or a credit card. So again, this is the name of the companies. This is when it was opened. This is what his credit limits are. This is where his balance is, and this is what his monthly payments. So the reason why I went ahead and declined him, I was like, you're looking at this and you're like, well, George, like, this guy makes $250,000 a year and he has all these properties. But the thing is that making this much money and you still have credit balances, like he's almost maxed out. So for a person that claims that make that much money, he has he has limits on it. So it's just like, why isn't he paying this down? That's a that's a red flag to me, because I'm like, you're claiming all this money, and then and you're at a 66% utilization. Logically, you shouldn't be at that if you're making 250,000. And then I started calculating all his payments, and let's get a nice old calculator here. Ooh, that's way too big. Let's make this a little smaller. Okay, so let's add up all these debts. Okay, so 1681. All right. Almost done. All right, so essentially, he is at uh, he's at $18,000. That's how much his debt is. And let's see here real quick. No, okay, then yeah, he was definitely okay. So my mistake. So he actually made $200,000 a month, because I remember seeing 18 and 16 when I was reviewing. So essentially, his debt to income is what even nailed it in the coffin. because but then again, you're saying, but these are probably produced, they produce income, yeah, but we're not asking for that. We're not asking for the information, and we're just reviewing what we have. So he has to get hit with this automatically because of this. And then, eh, as you can see right here, so right now, all his debt combined is $18,000, right? Without counting the income he makes from there, his just on his salary alone, because that's all he put. I can't do anything if that's what he put. So he's at 16,000. Obviously, we know 18 is higher than 16. So essentially, he's like over 100% over debt to income. So I was like, okay, I can see maybe why now he's at 66%. Because again, for a person that claims to make $200,000 a year, like $200,000 a year, and he has all this property, all this mother effing property, and he's at 66%. Because again, it's not even like the the credit cards are like 2,000 and maybe 1,000. This is 16,500. Like 16,500, and you're already almost at half and didn't pay for this. Like, Dinard, stop playing with me. How to give him that L, baby. How to give him that L. Like, man, get out of here with that. But, you know, this is something for you to go ahead and know. And remember when I was talking about, oh yeah, I did touch about it, about the FICO score 8. So, and this is through Equifax. So this is the credit score that this finance company is using to review, and this is pretty much what one of the type of credit reports that they look. I've seen different type of credit reports, but they all look relatively the same. Like on this one, they always have the name of the institution, the information right here that breaks it down. Yeah, so this is what a credit report. So this is what you see. So when you are on Credit Karma, this is not what you are seeing. This is not what you are seeing on your end, and because also you can see this is different. Even on Experian website, this is not exactly what you see. You have it more in a better in a better in a more easy way to manage. So there you have it. Declined millionaire. So the reason why I declined him was his utilization. He was way overutilized, and then his debt to income puts the nail in the coffin. Get out of here. So hopefully you guys liked it. Like, subscribe. I'm gonna continue doing more content. But for the time being, I'm back, and I'll see you guys. Oh, well, before that, go ahead and leave any comments, any questions that you guys have about credit, or any questions you had about the video. I can further explain. Now I'll see you on the next one. See ya. Let's go.